Hello, everyone, and welcome to Uncivil Law, where we learn through the misfortunes of others. As always, I hope you'll enjoy this legal education content, and today will be the day I earn that subscription. For today's story, we're talking about the Polygon, who has some thoughts about the Johnny Depp trial. These thoughts, in large respects, echo those of The Guardian, which were stupid. But, you know, they just wanted the opportunity to also be stupid. They felt like they were left out. I understand. They want to be part of the crowd. They want to fit in with their peers. A little bit of peer pressure. Really understandable, you know. I got it. It's all understandable. But you know, we're going to cover the stupid because we want to see what the news media is saying that's dumb, which is many things, to be sure. Okay, so let's take a look at this. This is from Polygon, entitled, "Toxic Fans Have Made Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's Trial Inescapable. Memes, supercuts, and live streams of the trial have taken over social platforms." Is it bad that people like to watch trials? Is that a bad thing? Should we not be watching trials? Or maybe you're like really old school. Maybe you think the trials shouldn't be broadcast. Or maybe only you think the trials that, suit your narrative should be broadcast. Maybe that's the issue. For a news publication to take the proposition that live streams and broadcasts of the trial are bad seems inherently not self-aware. Yeah. Okay. Great. Moving on. Here's a picture of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and Stan in this courtroom. Polygon writes the following missive. "You aren't imagining things. The internet is completely underwater, submerged in memes, supercuts, live streams, fan camps, and conspiracy theories about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's defamation trial. The trial is part of a long-running legal battle between the two actors. In May of 2016, Amber Heard filed for divorce, and in 2018, she penned a Washington Post op-ed about being a sexual assault survivor. Not to put too fine a point on it, and I know this will go well over the attention of Polygon, but it didn't say sexual assault. It said domestic assault and sexual violence. Those were the terms this particular article used. You could potentially, in some other article, write domestic violence and sexual assault. That would also make sense, like linguistically. But in this particular article, it is domestic assault and sexual violence. This is important, by the way, because this is a defamation case. And so the question is, are these false statements of fact? False statements. So the wording of the statements is somewhat material towards the thing we're trying to resolve. Just a little bit important. The words in the statement that we're supposed to be assessing. Good. Depp wasn't named in the piece by name, but in 2019, he filed a suit against Heard for defamation. A year later, she filed a countersuit, and the trial is now playing out both in a courthouse in Fairfax County, Virginia, my former home, and on live streams on platforms like YouTube and Twitch. Once again, are we against televised trials? Is that where we're going? We don't like the televised trials. We wish there was less media access to the trials. Less media access, says we, the media. I don't know. Okay. The trial has set off a toxic fandom bomb. As major social platforms incentivize the worst human behavior possible to drive up their engagement metrics. Why is this behavior bad? See, you're just taking these as conclusions. And I get to ask, why is this true? Because I'm just imagining an alternate universe, for example, where the genders were reversed, but the claims were the same. Would it be the worst behavior to make notes of that? Or would that be fulfillment of the Me Too? Is it only good when it fits the narrative and only bad when it doesn't? Is it universally bad? Why is the behavior bad? What about it makes it bad? Is it bad inherently, so it wouldn't matter? If Amber were Johnny and Johnny were Amber, it wouldn't matter if the sexes were the other way around? Is it inherently bad? Or is it bad because it doesn't suit what we're trying to sell? Also, it's making us look kind of bad. This is why I ask for a rationale. And during the Depp Heard trial, the defensiveness, ugliness, and outrage cycle of online fan communities has infected every corner of the web like a virus, taking the shape of content that does well on those platforms. Okay, Polygon, we need to really have a talk about how media has done this basically since the dawn of time. This is not really a social media phenomenon. You can point to trials well before social media, which had a similar news thirst and thirst of the people, where people, usually for newspapers, because we're going old school here, newspaper people would go to the scene and, when telephones first existed, at least, would be able to call in and get the paper printed, like right away, and extra, read all about it. And, every paper was kind of doing the same thing because it was popular and they wanted their paper to be consumed, which is a perfectly rational belief, reasonable thing. You can want your paper to be consumed for kind of pure capitalist reasons. We like money. That's a valid motivation. Or you can have it for slightly more altruistic reasons. Like, this is what the people are interested in. So since it's something they're interested in, let us try to fulfill their interest in some sort of more platonic way, some more idealistic way, trying to meet the thirst of the people. And there's also other combinations. But yeah, this is not like a modern problem. Outrage cycles and fandom groups, we might have called them different things in the 20th century and the 19th century and the 18th century and the 17th century and the 16th century, but same kind of principles. A thirst for news of the day, previously done through gossip, previously done through newspapers and pamphlets, previously done by town criers. People would attend these trials. There were many, many media trials well before the internet. Well before. So I think, like any examination of history with even the most superficial lens shows why this argument's a little bit dumb. The trial has infected every corner of the web like a virus. The trial has infected every corner of the county / nation / region / world. This is not a new problem in any sense. I don't really know what you're talking about. It has become the new Twitch meta as opposed to the new newspaper meta. Again, we probably wouldn't have used the term meta. We would have used different terms. But the same exact concept arose by any other name, right? Call it meta or call it anything else you like. I don't really care. Are you telling me that there wasn't newspaper meta in the 20th and 19th centuries and before even? Are you telling me that the newspapers weren't trying to satisfy an audience and they were all trying to talk about the same things and perhaps even in similar ways as they noted which coverage was more or less popular? So they would take ideas from their competitors in terms of how to present it so that they would be more popular too. I mean, it was a much slower meta. And even you can go even slower than that. You want to go even slower than that, we can have some really slow meta. Very slow meta. We can talk about like legal meta, for example, which remains slow by the comparison in which terms that things are meant. There's legal meta. There's absolutely legal meta. Things will change very, very slowly. And then the new meta just becomes the new law eventually. It's a very slow growing meta. But yeah, this is the law meta is done by law reviews, for example, the professional publications of lawyers and law students. And for example, a really good example of this, by the way, just to bring a particular case in point, is on the Second Amendment. There was the first modern article, the first modern law review, I should say, about the Second Amendment, to my mind at least, and obviously different people could draw the line in different places, but I'm going to tell you what I think the line is. The first article in the Second Amendment meta was a law review article entitled The Embarrassing Second Amendment, published by Yale. And the title is slightly misleading. They didn't mean that the Second Amendment itself was embarrassing. They meant that everyone treated it as embarrassing because no one was talking about it. This is true in law schools, right? This is true. No one was talking about the Second Amendment. No one. So like, it must be embarrassing because no one's talking about it. And I think that was late 1970s. I want to say 1976, something like that was when that article was printed. And that started the Second Amendment meta. Really? Seriously. The Second Amendment meta, as you now know it, /love it, /hate it, didn't exist before then. Not really. Before then, the Second Amendment was treated as antiquated and, just applies to militias and group ways. And, there's no protection for individuals. That's the pre-1976 meta. Yale's paper didn't change it instantly overnight either. It was because of the next law review and the next law review and the one after that and the one after that and the one after that and so forth and so on. 30 years worth of meta it took until we turn around to Heller versus DC, where the meta about the Second Amendment has changed. I'll give you another good example from legal antiquity. Scalia on originalism. Scalia is the modern founder of originalism. That isn't to say that originalism didn't exist before as a concept, but much like the embarrassing Second Amendment, the embarrassing originalism. It was not really a prominent theory. It wasn't taught in schools. It wasn't taught in law schools, really at all. It was not a thing. It was just not a thing. And then Justice Scalia said, well before he was Justice Scalia, by the way, well before he was Justice Scalia, even before he was Judge Scalia, Scalia said, hey, wait a second. I think there should be an originalism thing. And basically, by him and doing his thing and the people that came after him and helped amplify the meta, now not only is originalism not embarrassing, it is the dominant theory of legal interpretation. As Justice Kagan once said, we're all originalists now. There's lots of examples of the meta. Slow meta, fast meta, newspaper meta, radio station meta, all kinds of meta. Not new. Been going on for a little bit. I guess if we want to go really hardcore, on the meta, on the idea, we can even talk about the very first assault case ever, because I've covered it on my channel before, which was from, well, I want to say 1400, somewhere around there. Like, the concept of assault as a threat didn't exist before then. You can actually find the very first assault case that ever happened. It's pretty cool, right? Before then, battery was a concept, so hitting someone, surely. I mean, that came well before. You can go Roman law and deeper than that, if you really want to. But the very first assault case ever? Yeah, you can point to exactly when it happened, in the UK. We've covered it before on my channel. And it's like, oh, that's the first one ever. How about that for some new meta? We invented an entirely new cause of action from the meta. Or in my own field of patent law, very first patent law ever was Venice, the Venetian Patent Act. Very first patent law ever. And if you go read it, it has a lot of the same concepts that modern patent law does. It seems very familiar. It's obviously grown a lot since then. It's developed a lot then, but the core concepts? Venice, Italy said, hey, wait a second. What if we had this thing called patent law? And everyone said, what's a patent law? We've never heard of this before, because they hadn't, because it didn't exist. And then it existed. How about that for some meta? How about the entire Constitution is built on meta? The Constitution didn't come from nowhere. It came from lots of legal thinkers, English thinkers, number of thinkers. It wasn't invented out of whole cloth, and for that matter, it was also in large part influenced by and just a direct derivation of UK common law. And also the meta from the scholars. How about that for some meta? The basis of an entire country. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't understand this criticism. I don't get it. I don't understand. Great, moving on. Sorry for that somewhat extended discussion about legal meta, but you know, I get to geek out pretty hard, so you'll forgive me. And on TikTok, the Justice for Johnny Depp hashtag on the app has almost 7 billion views per a recent report by Rolling Stone. Fine. There are pro-Depp makeup tutorials, fan cams that throw cutesy filters on clips of his testimony, and supercuts meant to make Amber look unstable. Well, not to put too fine a point on it again, but made to make. You're assuming their intent or motivation. You're assuming their motivation. So, yeah. Well, Marion Torres doesn't like my field of law very much, but, you know, that's okay. You can have an opinion. Fandom isn't new. You can trace it all the way back to reading clubs for Sherlock Holmes. No, you don't say. But fandom in this internet age has a different level of intensity and coordination. Does it, though? Are you sure? I'm not so sure. Coordination, maybe. Although even that I'm not so sure about, because, yeah. Also, it's not really coordinated in any kind of sense that makes sense. Coordination implies that people are in an agreement with each other. They're working together to achieve some ends. That would be like coordinated, right? It's a bunch of people who have come together for a common purpose and are working at common ends in some sort of common system. There's no coordination of these things that I'm aware of. I'm sure there's little groups of it, to be sure. But even in LawTube, I don't think we're coordinated. LawTube is a very loose affiliation of people. We're not really coordinated. We say things we're interested in, and if we want to have people on, we send out invites, and people show up or they don't. But not so much on the coordination. And I'm not sure things are really that much different in TikTok land. People might be commenting on the same things. They might be talking about the same things. But coordination? You're saying TikTok is coordinated? Isn't TikTok kind of the exact polar opposite of coordinated? Yeah. Okay. Social media has morphed into something closer to online gangs or cults. Well, I do expect sacrifices of super chats. If you want to be part of the Uncivil Law cult, Uncivil Law says part of being in the cult is the super chats. Protecting and policing each other in lieu of real moderation, happening on large platforms like Facebook or Twitter. You mean centralized moderation, is what you mean. Amorphous groups can moderate each other too. That's kind of like what, society is in a larger part. We're all kind of moderating each other by being in society. So what you mean is not real moderation. You mean centralized moderation. You mean moderation under control of a bureaucracy instead of the impromptu, ad hoc moderation, which is about as good as it gets on Uncivil Law right now. I apologize. It's as good as it gets in terms of LawTube. It's very ad hoc. Ad hoc. In fact, these platforms have spent years rewarding and training users to operate as swarms. What? Share content connected to their favorite actors and franchises and go to war with each other for clout. What are you talking about? They've trained users to go as what? Your thesis is that social media has been training people to operate as swarms? Yeah, the idea of these spontaneous swarms is something totally unknown before social media. It was never like, an idea would become like popular in any way. Before social media, it wasn't like people would follow the crowd and, sometimes even get together in large, somewhat disruptive amorphous groups. I don't know what we could call such a thing since it never existed, but maybe here's just an idea. Perhaps we could call it like a mob. I know you don't know what that word is because I just invented it for the first time ever because no one ever did it before. But I think mob is an interesting word to call it. Has a nice ring to it to my mind. Also, we'll see if it catches on. But the idea that people operate in swarms with social contagion, yeah. Okay, great. The social media reaction to Depp v. Heard is the most recent example, though it feels particularly inescapable compared to online fan movements that have come before. I don't think you have any conception of history. And I don't think you have any conception of, basically anything. I think you're an idiot. There have been some super chats that have come in along the way. Let me read some of those. Let's see. It's not keeping track of them right now because YouTube is having problems. Jennifer Edwards became a supporter. Bloody Bob says $5, blood for the blood god. Respect. €99 from Patricia Macchiato. Thank you very much, Patricia. $19.99 from Scott Valentine's. The diversity of thought, legal expertise, and open debate that draws me to LawTube. The hat is a value add. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. This doesn't feel like a niche corner of the web yelling out into the void. So it's popular. Popularity is the problem. It feels ubiquitous. It's very popular. It is morphed into what Emily Conley, a researcher who specializes in online propaganda. Propaganda normally implies it's being done by a nation state, incidentally. Although I guess you could have private propaganda, but that's okay. Calls for a proxy culture war where fandoms for both Heard and Depp are using the actors as archetypes in a referendum on the Me Too movement. Well, as to my mind, I think that's an appropriate thing to be done. Because I know for an absolute certainty, if this somehow goes south on Johnny Depp, which, I'm at least open to the possibility of that. So we're not even talking about Johnny Depp losing now. We're talking about somehow this goes south. We're talking about somehow Amber Heard has the goods, as it were. right? So this is the hypothetical we now have to play with. I know you have to suspend your disbelief pretty hard, but try hard. Let's pretend for a moment that Amber Heard has the goods somewhere. Let's pretend that these goods are going to come out at trial. All right? There's no chance on the face of this earth that everyone who's a Me Tooer and, in this sort of club won't proclamate that from the ends of the earth. See, we told you, you didn't listen and believe. You didn't believe and listen to women, man. You didn't believe the survivors, right? We've been telling you for a long time, man, you didn't believe survivors. And this is just the proof, man. She already won at one trial. Now it's a second trial, crucifixion, if it were. And you are all horrible, horrible people, and hashtag believe all women. If you don't believe that for even a half second, you are an idiot. Because of course that will happen. It's not that hard to predict. So in the alternate hypothetical, which seems to be the hypothetical we're going on with, not so much with the goods Amber Heard and Johnny winning, why wouldn't those opposed to the movement use it to trump it? Why wouldn't those opposed to it, or at least question it? Why wouldn't they use it as ammunition in their repertoire? You'd use it in your repertoire in half a second. Why shouldn't we use it in our repertoire? Because it's inconvenient for you? I mean, you're the ones, at least some of you guys over there, who said believe women, which implies all, incidentally. Believe women and believe all women kind of are the same thing, because believe women is not qualified. It implies all. So you're the ones who made this, battle, and we're going to be like, yeah, here's a problem for you. Maybe due process was a good thing after all. $1.99 from circa 1990. Laughing my ass off. Justice for Johnny is egregigor. Thank you. $2 from Ace Moonshot. I, for well, welcome our new LawTube overlords. Thank you very much. And let's see. $2 from Sangi BR. I had a long think, and you're my favorite LawTuber. Thank you. Awesome. Alina Elisi. $5. Never thought I'd want to be part of a cult, but LawTube is my safe space, so here you go. Please let me stay, I beg of you. With your super chats in mind, you too can be a part of the club. Please help others super chat. Also, one of your duties as members of the cult is to help other members become members of the cult. So help other members learn about the channel, subscribe to the channel, and super chat about the channel and to the channel. These are also part of your cult-like duties. Help the Uncivil Law word spread, like any good cult religion should. Brandon Lesko gives $5. This is a stream that never ends. The lawful karaoke will go on and on again. Why don't we believe crazy people who aren't crazy in line? These are outstanding questions. Thank you very much. The LawTuber is grooming you. I am grooming you to help grow my channel. Yes, I absolutely am. That is definitely a thing I'm doing. For sure. People are following it like a sport, obsessing over it, making GIFs and memes about it. You'll notice the conversation isn't about male victims of domestic violence or resources for survivors of abuse. Not for the least of reasons that because you guys in the mainstream media seem to think it's not possible for men to be survivors of abuse. Why aren't you talking about it? E.E. Caroline gives 99 cents. Thank you very, very much. But how do we get here? Connolly points to Tumblr porn ban as a potential inflection point for internet fandom. What? I mean, if we want to talk about internet fandom in a proper sense, internet fandom existed even before the World Wide Web. I know people forget that the internet is not just synonymous with the World Wide Web. People forget this, but there are other aspects of the internet other than the World Wide Web. For perhaps a notable example, Usenet, which was forums before there were forums. And yeah, there was a lot of internet fandom there for sure. Also, the bulletin boards, which I'm not even sure qualifies as internet fandom, depending on how we're using our terms, but still. After a mass exodus of about 150 million users following the site's controversial ban on NSFW content in 2018, Twitter became the new home base for fandom content. Okay, so in an alternate universe where Tumblr hadn't done that, maybe Tumblr would still be the home for the fandom. So why would it be any different if it were in Tumblr versus Twitter? See, this is not what you're making clear to me. Like, let's assume an alternate universe where Tumblr wasn't as stupid, and they're still thriving, and they're still a dominant social media platform. Then presumably the fandom, to the extent it existed, would have existed there. Is it bad that it doesn't exist there and now exists on Twitter instead? Why? Why is it bad it exists on Twitter instead of on Tumblr? Why is that a thing? And the site's very different incentives about going viral and being engaged drastically changed the way fandoms interacted with each other. I don't know what Tumblr's algorithm would have looked like in the alternative universe, but I'm not sure it wouldn't look like less than it does now. They're no longer mostly contained within their circles. Oh my God, they're interacting with each other. Now, one of the most exciting things that can happen to a fandom is to be seen. They want to see themselves on the trending page. Wow. Yes. I hate to break this to you, but I think we all would like to be seen on the trending page. Uncivil Law would very much like to be seen on the YouTube trending page. Can't help noticing that his good friend Alita has been on the YouTube trending page quite a lot recently. And while I'm happy for Alita, I want mine too. So, yeah, yes, they want to be on the trending page so that people will like them and see their stuff. And, yeah, okay. Fine. Okay. Like everything else on sites like Twitter, fandom on big social media platforms is less about mutual enjoyment or subject matter, like it used to be on blogs or forums, but also about volume, she said. Oh, okay. I don't really think that's true. And blogs and forums follow Pareto distribution just like everything else does in terms of people contributing. The 80-20 rule is a pretty solid metric, just generally speaking, on forums and anywhere else. So yeah, some people want to climb to the top of that heap, and they have to produce a lot of content to do it. Right. Okay, that's fun. All right, great. Depp fans were active on Twitter in early 2019 when Depp filed the defamation lawsuit against Heard. At the time, fans of DC Cinematic Universe and Zack Snyder's Justice League were organizing the Release the Snyder Cut fan campaign on Reddit and Twitter. Snyder fans were convinced that a different version of the movie existed, rather than one re-edited and reshot by Joss Whedon, and they were mobilizing across the web to pressure Warner Bros. To release it. Those Snyder fans were later vindicated by an actual full-cut Snyder release. So they were right. They gained a reputation for being toxic and entitled. How are we doing with toxic here exactly? They wanted to see a thing. Maybe they felt maybe it's entitled, but they wanted a thing, and they demanded it. And the corporation said, "Yay, money." So not every corporation does that, by the way. I can think of one notable example for George Lucas. The original Star Wars, I'm not sure exists anywhere. It won't, to the extent it exists, he won't release it. So so he doesn't like the yay money approach, although he was already pretty rich, so maybe he didn't care that much. Those Snyder fans were later vindicated by an actual full Snyder Cut release. Thank you, Secret McSquirrel, for becoming a supporter as well. I appreciate it. And Sadiq Mohammed for becoming a supporter. Appreciate it. After Depp filed the lawsuit, they began petitioning for her to be removed from DC movies, like Justice League and Aquaman and Lost Kingdom. That would be what would have happened to Depp in the alternative, so I don't know why you're so flabbergasted by it. I mean, people have been, men at least, have been dismissed for much, much less. "80-20 rule implies predestination." I don't even know what that means. Only idiots take it as a serious rule. The moron thinks his head is cool. Well, I mean, the 80-20 rule, as I said, is a version of what's called a Pareto distribution. So if you don't like the 80-20 rule as a phrase, then just a Pareto distribution, which you can see basically in all kinds of ways. The sizes of stars, the sizes of galaxies, the city populations of cities. You can see it in accounting, which is one of the ways they can determine financial fraud. It's when it doesn't meet Pareto distributions. You know, so if you don't like the 80-20 rule, then okay, Pareto distribution, which, you know, yeah. Okay, Rio Diarardo says, things we disagree with is popular within mediums we don't control. Are they just evil, or are they evil and stupid? I'm not sure, to be honest. But the trial has since found an audience in other corners of the internet. I think TikTok tipped it over the edge into national consciousness, Jessica Lucas, a digital cultural researcher and journalist based in the UK, told Polygon. The slow mode is set to 45 seconds. So you can be, you know, hold your horses. 45 seconds is not that unreasonable. Lucas said that as the trial began in April, TikTok users became obsessed with it because of the site's pre-existing love for true crime. There are plenty of examples of viral investigations done by TikTok sleuths, and in this case, TikTok gets to be judge and jury. Yes, because they get to see the things. They at least get to be a jury. The judge, not so much, because they don't know what's going on. But yeah. It's a long 45 seconds. Well, choose your words more carefully, man. Think. Lucas said as the trial began in April, TikTok users became obsessed. Okay, we read that. Pointing to TikTok's similar obsession with the Gabby Petito disappearance, Couch Guy, and the attempted doxing of West Elm collab. Okay, not 100% sure why that's bad, but okay. I know George Lucas sold his share to Disney. I'm well aware, but still, yeah, okay. "45 seconds is eternity." Okay, I'll reduce it to 30 seconds. Okay, how about that? You guys are fun. All right, now it's 30 seconds. Try to behave nicely. 20 seconds would be better. Not happening. I mean, I could go back to 45 if you like, Tammy. $5 from Paul Farrell. Real foolish media companies to start messing with LawTube. You won't be pushed around and bullied. I know. 1999 from Just Me. Hey, Joe. Hey, got so involved with watching you. Having stroke over hoax. I got here late. Glad to see your blood pressure is back down. And carry on. I'll just sit back here and shut up now. Thank you very much. TikTok, perhaps more aggressively than any other social media platform on the web, emphasizes content that can fit within subcultures and fandoms, to the point where the company's blog in 2021 declared that subcultures were the new demographics. Also, every feature is readable or shareable or remixable, meaning it's not just videos that can trend, but also audio within the video, the movements recorded, the fashion worn, and hashtags with which is tagged. Unbelievable. I don't know. Steve gives $20, says yay for 30 seconds. You're welcome. It's mostly there, by the way, in case you're curious, it's mostly there, by the way, to help with bot issues, because despite all of our best efforts, and even it being subscriber modes, because the bots are learning, you know, that the bots are subscribing now. So it's mostly there to prevent the bots from, you know, having a complete field day. So that's part of the rationale. The bots have ruined it for all of us. Meanwhile, the live streams of the trial have been hugely popular on YouTube and Twitch. One channel called Law and Crime Network is even simulcasting the trial on both platforms. As the Washington Post pointed out, major streamers like Hassan Pilker and inane Pokemon Anyes are now streaming it to millions of viewers. $5 from One Last Idiot. Put it back to 45 seconds. Lol, it takes longer than that to grab a drink of water or to chew 30 times. Thank you. Can I wrench Secret McSquirrel? Yes, I can. That's a good idea. Where is he? Can't find him in the chat, so I can't super chat. Can't. There he is. And add. Great. All right, great. Where were we? And the act of taking a trial like Depp heard and feeding it through the aesthetics of Twitch has been jarring, if not downright inhumane. Once again, you guys need to have a discussion about, you know, what media looks like, you know, in the past. For instance, the streamer and pro gamer Felix Lengival, also better known as XQC, made headlines last week for putting a cry counter on screen to count how many times Heard teared up during the testimony. That is one lonely counter, man. According to Casey Holmes, a streamer from Austin, Texas, Holla, who goes by the name of Lucid Fox, it's not surprising the trial is popular on these platforms. Okay, so I have a bit of a request here on a personal level, and I don't know if such a thing exists, but since you guys are internet sleuths, and there's 1,300 of you here, you guys can help me, all right? Because I would be very interested, living in the greater Austin area, as so many streamers do, of meeting other people who are streamers, because I think it would be interesting to potentially learn things or collab things and stuff like that. So I don't know if there's any meetings by them in general. Is there a meeting of YouTubers of Austin or something, or streamers of Austin I could go to? Is there a way to meet these people, or am I not cool kid enough because I only have I was about to say I only have 50,000 subscribers because I'm still in that mindset, because I only have 70,000 subscribers. Am I not cool enough to hang out with the big kids? So they're Twitch streamers, not YouTube. Yeah, I know, but same principle, right? Same principle. I'll hang out with the Twitch streamers too. It's fine. TwitchCon will be the closest. Cool. Towards the end of April, the explosion of TikTok content and live streams about the trial also made its way to Reddit. Subreddits, like the usual Very Wholesome, Made Me Smile, began to fill up with grotesque attempts at reframing the trial as inspirational story for Depp. Why is that a grotesque thing? Why is it bad to reframe the trial as inspirational for Depp? Isn't that what the entire Me Too movement was doing for the last couple of years for women? Why is it bad that we're doing it for men? All right. If you don't do ASMR, you can't get invited to the Twitch Hangouts? Lame. There's some kind of disconnect, Amanda Brennan, the former head of editorial for Tumblr and current trends analysis for XX Artists, told Polygon. It doesn't feel real to people. I don't know how you're coming to that conclusion. Brennan said she was disturbed by what she's seen online over the last few months. She says that users are treating Depp, the real person, like he's one of his characters. There's no through line of where Johnny Depp ends his characters begin, she said. So Wendy Sells 225 became an advocate, and Katie Parker, $5. Speaking of streamers, will you be speaking with Destiny, aka the Omni Liberal, anytime soon? Love his channel is yours. Well, that's totally up to the Omni Liberal, to be honest. I saw his tweet where he had responded to me and said, you know, he wanted to do a stream because I tagged the wrong Destiny originally because I'm apparently a moron. But he did respond to the wrong thing and said, I'd love to stream. And you could DM me, and I DM'd him right away. I DM'd him like 2 days ago. I haven't heard from him. And just in case it got lost, I also responded to his tweet recently. This was much after I sent the DM. But I sent a tweet recently, just retweeting, basically saying, yeah, I'm open. So it's totally up to him. I haven't heard back. So I don't know. We'll find out. There's so many of these memes I've seen that have been people dressed as Jack Sparrow cosplay, which it blows my mind. Okay. Brennan also saw the trial memes as an endpoint of a certain kind of online parasociality. You got your super internet people who live in this kind of parasocial world of, oh, this is my fandom. This is the thing that makes me happy in who I am. I must protect my son. I must protect this person I'm care so much about, but it's not necessarily the person they care about, she said. I don't understand this either. So your argument is they don't really care about the people. They care about the fandom. I accept your premise, but this is, again, nothing new. This is, again, nothing new. Right? I mean, this kind of describes me in some ways. Right? I want to protect whatever this thing is for myself and for LawTubes. I'm happy it exists. I like that it exists. It allows me to do what I want to do, which is not really possible in the real world, to be honest. In terms of just going up to people and like having the kind of discussions I want to have. Not possible. The internet makes it very possible. And now I have 70,000 of you who also want to hear it, which is awesome. Finding new people in the real world is a much harder proposition because they're more geographically spread out. But on the internet, it's great because they're all here on my channel, which kicks ass. So yes, I'm very interested in protecting this. Not only for the monetary reasons, but also because it's a subject I'm genuinely interested in, as I'm sure you can tell. So yeah, I mean, I'm interested in protecting the fandom that is Uncivil Law and LawTubes. I'd very much like these things to grow. This is a community that I care about, and I'd like to grow, and more people to join, and the fandom to grow, and then we'll have conventions. We'll have our own conventions. Yeah. LawCon, coming to a city near you. You must hang out with Nerderotic and his gang. If I could find out how, I'd be happy to, man, you know? So, like, and again, this is nothing new. There were fandoms long before the internet. Star Trek, the original series, would like to have a word, for example. Social platforms have been heavily incentivized this blurring of celebrity with the characters they play and with fandom and community built around them, as flurry of activities from fans boost streamers and content creators' engagement metrics. It's distressing to see, Brennan said, identifying with this person who possibly did very terrible things to someone else and had very terrible things done to them. It's performative fandom, the whole thing. I don't really understand this paragraph on a whole number of levels. All things being equal, I would like to also boost my engagement metrics. That would be good. I would like to boost my engagement metrics. I'd like more subscribers to like my videos more often and see more of my content. That would be great. That sounds like a good thing to me. Not sure why you're making it sound like an evil. Brando Lesko says, Kurt, do you have an update on where your job situation's sold out? Also, what's the best way to support you? Love the content. Keep up. Well, PayPal is a little bit better, which you can use through StreamYards. There's a link in the description because they take much less of a cut. And also it pops up on screen. It doesn't pop up in the YouTube chat, but it pops up on the screen so that people can see it. So you still get credit for it. But yeah, donating through Streamlabs is better because it's PayPal and they take a much smaller cut. So that's probably the best way to support me. In terms of my job situation, I'll simply say that the prospect of it no longer being my job is a very, very plausible reality at this point. Yeah, I don't think I want to play anymore. I've been doing my current job for 15 years, and yeah, I think I might be done. So I have to make a decision on this relatively soon, actually, but I think I might be done. Nick Van MZ, I don't believe Amber Heard. Her story doesn't add up. I agree with you as well. Yeah. Which is one of the reasons I'm interested in this channel growing, because I'm making a fairly notable salary now. And giving all that up is scary. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's scary. I like to, be able to eat. So, yeah. But I think I might be done. And that is the end of the article. Okay, fine. All right, great. So that brings us to the end of this article. We have 2 more articles we're going to do. Obviously, we have one at Wired and one at The Cut we're going to do at some point today. Take that off for now so I can lean back in my chair a little bit. We're going to what's going on with his job? Nothing. Nothing's going on in particular with my job other than I've been doing it for 15 years. And I've talked to the chat before about it, and just like I don't like it anymore. So I just think I'm done. And this has been a while coming. And so, that's all there is to it. Nothing more complicated than that. Kat, you sound pretty down, sending you hugs. Yeah, well, the moment you got me talking about my jobs, yeah, that lowered my mood a lot. I'm blaming you guys in the chat. I'm blaming you. Yeah, the moment you started talking to me about my job, you saw me like, oh yeah. So yeah, it is probably not an inconsequential support of my depression at this point. Chat causes depression. Nice. No. It's just that you guys are talking about a depressive subject. That's all. So Uncivil Law, their perpetual motion machines, patent specialty didn't work out. Not yet. I'm still looking. You need a vacation? Come over to the UK. Sounds good. Can you provide airfare and housing? If so, I have passport ready to travel. If you're paying for it, man, just let me know, because I have passport and I'm ready to go. Should we play a game? I don't have a lot of time for it, actually. I'm going to go out into the park and play chess. There's a chess meetup in Austin that meets every Saturday at 2. And I have just enough time to drive over there and start playing some chess, which is fun for the chess, but also more fun for me getting outside, which is also kind of an important thing for me to do every once in a while, to remember there is an outdoors. So I'm gonna do the outdoors thing now. So I gotta bail so I can do my chess thing and get my ass handed to me, because at the moment my chess skills are so horrible. I'm just getting destroyed. $5 from Brandon Lesko. F it, move on. I just want to see what you're up to. Go full time on YouTube. Get a Venmo. I hate PayPal. I do have Venmo. I should probably link my Venmo in my description. Also, incidentally, I hate PayPal too. I didn't sign up for PayPal for the longest time. But it's like, okay, I have to do this. And now Locals wants me to sign up for Stripe. Because all the money that you guys have been giving to me in Locals at the moment is still being held by Locals. I haven't gotten any money from it. But it's on me a little bit, because they're like, well, we'll pay you if you open a Stripe account. I'm like, I don't want to. Will you send me a check? They're like, no. But you can open a Stripe account. And I still haven't done it. Yeah. So like, can't you pay me through one of the other mediums I already have? Like, can you pay me through Venmo or PayPal or write me a check like a normal person? No, it has to be Stripe. Melody Nolan says, you did a great job with Radana Vault trial. Would you please break down the sentencing hearing? Also connections, try meup.com. I'm familiar with meup.com, and it is a good place to go. That's how I found the Chess Club, incidentally. Orchid says, where can we find you during this week's trial? Well, you can find me during the day on Legal Bites, and following Legal Bites every night during the trial. So here's something for you to look forward to. Every night during the trial from here on in, 5 days a week, I will be doing the after party. Oh, yeah. So when Legal Bites stream ends, we're going to do the whole redirect thing on YouTube, which also, like, doesn't really work, but we're going to try it anyway. It has some bugs. So every night of this trial, immediately following Legal Bites stream, I will start an after party stream. And depending on what time we reach, so let's assume it ends at 9, my time, which is plausible, because the trial ends at 4 o'clock my time, right? Because that's what 5 o'clock. Well, no, wait, it's 5:30 now, isn't it? So it ends 4:30 my time, because I'm an hour behind. So let's assume that Alita's stream ends at 9 o'clock, which is plausible. Although she might actually be shorter than that, because she was talking to me a little bit behind the scenes and basically saying, yeah, she's not sure that she can keep doing as long as she's been doing, which is, totally understandable, as I'm sure you guys would understand yourselves. It's been a lot. But anyways, I'm going to be a masochist for 3 weeks, because I roll deep. So not only am I going to do Alita stream, I'm also going to do my own stream for like 3 hours or 4 hours. Yeah. So that's some long days, man. So every day during the trial, I'll be on Lee's channel, and at night, it'll be the 9 p.m. to 12 p.m. Uncivil Law wrap-up show with super chats. Should be good. Will I cover the Rust case? To the extent it develops anymore, yes. There's nothing new really to talk about. Believe it when I see it. Why are you giving me hell, man? Why are you giving me shit? All right, I gotta run. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Until later, my friends. Hope all's well. Peace and goodbye.